Another week, another Chiefs organized team activity. Beat writer Brooke Pryor breaks down what she saw and heard at the Chiefs' latest practice. Spoiler alert, she heard from plenty of assistant coaches, hear what they had to say and how we interpreted what they had to say on Sports Beat KC, a sports podcast presented by the Kansas City Star. I'm your host, Blair Kerkhoff. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, Blair. Hey, Blairster.
Brookster, I think we found out today that's kind of a pet name for you.
It is. That's what my parents called me, Brookster, growing up. And I told you, standing out at OTAs where, I don't know about you, but I got a little bit of a sunburn.
A little bit. Yeah.
But we were standing out there talking, and my parents called me Brookster growing up, and I put it on the back of a sweatshirt. You know, when you're in high school and you can customize the back of your sweatshirt. Mine said Brookster. But then my AAU basketball coach saw it and said, Brookester? What kind of name is that? So in one circle of folks, I was known as Brooke Esther. And then at home, I was called Brookster.
I think if maybe you were in England, it would be Brookester.
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 It kind of sounds a little bit more regal.
It does. It's very noble. Very
you know what
noble.
else sounds noble? Spagnuolo.
Spagnuolo does
It sounds
noble.
Italian noble. Like
Right.
maybe he's a member of the Medici family.
Maybe. With a New England accent that we'll get to in a moment, because we're going to hear some Steve Spagnuolo in our podcast a little bit later, and we will get the full effect of the Steve Spagnuolo Spags accent. I love that. But there was a little bit of news out there today. Let's set up what today was. Today is Thursday, and Thursdays in May mean
OTAs.
OTAs for the Chiefs.
Which is organized team activities. They are voluntary. Not everyone has to be there, except us. We have to be there. And so we watched.
That's right. Not voluntary for us.
No, far from voluntary.
We were there, but not everybody was there. Who you got a list? Who was not there? We'll just get Chris Jones out of the way.
Chris Jones not there. Tyreek Hill not there. Deion Yelder was not practicing. Travis Kelce was not practicing. Both were on the sidelines.
Tight ends.
Both tight ends. Two other folks who were not there that we didn't know would not be there, Sammy Watkins and Damian Williams, both not there because of personal reasons, not a contract holdout situation. Again, it's voluntary. We saw the return of Anthony Hitchens, who missed last week with the birth of his daughter Ava, but he was back this week. Also didn't see Jalen Burrell, cornerback. Tim Ward and Darius Harris were both there, two rookies who are both coming off of injuries. They did not practice, but they were on the sidelines. I believe we saw Cam Irving was participating today. He had not participated last week. I think those are the big ones.
And there's another week of this phase of OTAs. We'll be back out there the next Thursday, and who knows?
And then it's mandatory minicamp.
In June, middle of June, we'll be back.
Listen to that deep sigh. You're so excited.
Oh, man.
Mandatory minicamp.
Spring football. At least the colleges get theirs over with in April.
Yeah, that's true. This really just drags on.
It does drag on. It's weeks and weeks of weeks. But it was fun to watch, and we did pick up some information out there today because it wasn't the players we spoke with after practice. It was the assistant coaches for the one and only time during the off-season practices. And we spoke with David Tobe, the special teams coach, Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator, and as you mentioned, Steve Spagnuolo, the new defensive coordinator. That was actually the first time that we have seen Steve Spagnuolo speak.
Spags in the flesh.
Yeah. So we've seen him on the practice field, and we have been on a conference call with him, but this was the first time we saw him at a podium speaking. Again, we'll get to him in a second, but let's talk first of all about the little bit of news that was made today. And that was by Eric Bieniemy when he was asked about Damian Williams, the running back. He was actually asked about the running back position.
Right, if it would be a running back by committee situation because of, it's a fair and very valid question. This is a running back group that has a lot of different types of guys in there between Carlos Hyde, Damian Williams, Darrell Williams, Darwin Thompson, just a lot of different guys with different strengths. And so, he was asked, is this going to be a running back by committee situation? He said, nope, Damian Williams is our starter.
We expect him to excel in that role, he continued to say.
That doesn't sound like a committee situation to me.
It absolutely does not. Look, I think Damian Williams did a pretty admirable job when he became the starting running back after the booting of Kareem Hunt. last season, and he had a really good postseason.
He had a really good postseason. That's why I think it's kind of surprising some of the doubt that I feel like is creeping in about Damian Williams. People saying like, well, can he really be a starter? He was the starter in the most crucial part of their season and played really well in the most high intensity, high pressure scenarios in the postseason where you lose and you're done. And I thought that he played well. Did he score every game?
Well,
I'm trying to think. He had a streak.
I'm going to filibuster as you look it up.
That's definitely not what I'm doing.
I think that he had a 100-yard rushing game against the Colts in the divisional round playoff game at Arrowhead, and then he had 3 touchdowns against the or do I have that backwards? Did he? I think it was 3 touchdowns against the Patriots.
I need you to keep filibustering
because
I'll
keep
Pro
going
Football
here.
Reference is not doing me any favors.
He had a good postseason. I'll leave it at that. And he played well down the stretch when he started the season. I remember you doing a big story on him early in the season. He was kind of a feel-good story, right? He had been released by the Dolphins. And
he had 129 yards against the Colts and... 3 touchdowns against New England.
Nailed it.
Booyah. I talked with... He was a guy that I was intrigued by because he's an OU product, and I obviously covered OU before I came here. And so, when you get to a new team, you look at the roster, and you're like, who can I make connections with? Oh, Damian Williams. We never crossed paths at OU, but we know some of the same people. And I talked with him and then talked with Eric Bieniemy and talked to some other people in the team about Damian Williams, and he was a guy that... his tape was graded out really, really highly by the Chiefs staff, but he was kind of shuffled back in the mix when he was released by Miami. He wasn't released, but his contract wasn't renewed there. And so he was someone that they felt like they could get a really good bargain on. And then he ended up being a really good value running back for them. And he kind of needed a change in his surroundings, and his, he was enjoying the Miami lifestyle a little too much, I was told by a couple different people, and so he just needed a change, and he got that in Kansas City, and it's been really good for him. Since that story, I ended up doing other ones, talking to his mom, talking to his family about how much they've seen him mature and just how Kansas City is the right fit. And so I think that he's going to continue to play well. When you look at the stats he had in the loss to Seattle, he had 103 yards and is that a touchdown? Yeah, and a receiving touchdown. He also he scored in the last 6, in the last 6 games. So every game he started plus the Baltimore game. So the Oakland game was the first one that the Chiefs didn't have Kareem Hunt.
Right, at Oakland.
At Oakland. He only had 5 touches in that game. But the next week against Baltimore, he had 8 touches and 2 touchdowns. The next week he started against the Chargers, and that's when he had 2 more touchdowns, and then 1-1-1-3.
Establishing himself as the starting.
Yeah, I think he deserves
back.
to be when Eric Bieniemy is asked as a running back by committee. I think that he's deserved Eric Bieniemy sticking up for him and saying, "No, our starter's Damian Williams." He's played his way to that status.
As I think about him in the offense, this isn't to suggest that the offense is tailor-made for success. Other running backs have been in this Andy Reid offense and didn't have the kind of success that Damian Williams had. But he just seems like the right person, the right fit at the right time for the Chiefs. His abilities, he's able to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a hard runner as well. So yes, I agree. I think he's earned the start. He will continue to start. It's his job to lose. I don't suspect he will lose it. And I guess time will just tell, what the Chiefs end up doing at that position, how many they keep, what the pecking order behind him is going to be. Darrell Williams had a touchdown in the playoff game against the Colts last year. They went out and got Carlos Hyde. They drafted Darwin Thompson. So it's funny when I think about that, the 4 running backs who the Chiefs are going to enter training camp with are 4 none of those guys were with the team entering training camp a year ago.
Yep, right? We don't have Kareem Hunt, Charkandrick West, Spencer Ware. Who's the 4th one?
Who is the 4th one? Boy.
We're just going to stare at each other. Maybe there were only 3.
We'll have to look or some alert listener will...
By all means, tweet at me and tell me how we're wrong, because that's never happened before. But yeah, I mean, it is a completely different room.
So we keep talking about how different...
Damian Williams was the fourth.
He was. Damian Williams was there when training camp started.
Right.
He was fourth.
Right, yeah, he was fourth. So fourth has now risen to first.
Yes, with 3 new ones behind him. And we keep talking about the changes on the defense, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But that position, running back position, probably has turned over as much as any position on this team.
Yeah, it really has, thinking about it. I would say the secondary and the running back position have probably evolved the most since the end of the season.
He said, again, with Eric Bieniemy, he was asked about John Lovett, and I know that's a player that you've been interested in writing about.
He's one of the guys that I've picked to watch since rookie minicamp, when he kind of seemed to have a breakout play.
And it's been important for Lovett in this, the undrafted free agent quarterback from Princeton. But it's been important for him to look good in these practices because Kelsey's not there, Yeldon's not there. This is an opportunity for players like this to really show what they're about. I thought he looked pretty good today.
Yeah, I thought so too. He had, I would say, at least 3 or 4 catches that I saw. I was like, wow, that's pretty good. He also had the opportunity, I think, because Deion Yelder wasn't playing today, Travis Kelce not participating. So he's getting more looks than I think a guy in his position as a Princeton quarterback turned tight end, H-back, Z-back, LMNO, JK back.
That's what I played.
Yeah. He was out there with the first team. He was catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. And who would have thought that this time a year ago, the Princeton quarterback would be a receiver for the NFL MVP.
Right. As I was watching the wide receivers work today, I was also struck with the absence of Sammy Watkins. You're looking at Demarcus Robinson and Gary Dieter, taking basically the first team reps, and it's
not what you want.
Well, it's not optimal,
right?
But
Gary Dieter, a guy that was on the practice squad for a lot of last year, talented, but
yeah.
He's not Sammy Watkins.
But if you're looking at a Tyreek Hill suspension, assuming he's still with the Chiefs, he's suspended, and injury-prone Sammy Watkins may be getting dinged up early or something, that may be Demarcus Robinson, Gary Dieter, McCole Hardman,
Byron
Pringle, Marcus Kemp. That's the group you're going with.
Doesn't seem to strike fear into hearts of defensive coordinators, maybe the way that last year's lineup
Maybe
would.
so. Maybe Demarcus Robinson takes that step. Look, he had some really nice moments. Had the long touchdown with the 80-yard reception against the Raiders, and maybe he's ready to take that next step and show a lot of improvement. Just being a receiver in a Patrick Mahomes offense is going to improve your numbers.
Right, exactly.
And Hardman's speed is obvious. So, but that's a position group to keep an eye on as we go forward. So, all right, Brooke, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will hear from Steve Spagnuolo and talk about the Chiefs' defense. Hey, it's Blair Kerkhoff, and if you're listening to this, you love Kansas City sports, whether it's the Chiefs, Royals, Sporting, Mizzou, KU, or K-State. And no one covers these teams like the Kansas City Star. If you currently subscribe to the paper or have a digital subscription, thank you for your support. And if you don't, here's a great offer. It's called Sports Pass, unlimited digital access to every sports story and video on kansascity.com. And it's just $30 for the first year. It's the best sports value in town, just 8 cents a day or $2.50 a month. You can't beat that. Subscribe now at kansascity.com/sportspass.
We got a long way from that. We haven't put a shoulder pad on. Luckily, they let us put helmets on. Otherwise, we'd still be doing all those pajama practices we were doing earlier. It's a long process. I'm certainly not going to compare it to anything. What I really look for right now is building a foundation. I've talked extensively with the guys about that. It's been all about building a foundation of fundamentals. That goes to communication, to believing in the system, and I talked extensively about doing the things or mastering the things that take very little talent. It doesn't take a lot of talent to communicate. Call out an under route, get aligned. those little things we need to get taken care of now. Otherwise, it creates holes, and then we have problems. So I'm more focused on that.
Are you seeing those things to your satisfaction right now?
It's been a little bit up and down. Which is to be expected when it's new. The terminology's new. The people are new. The guys are getting used to each other. It hasn't been as consistent as I would like it right now, but we've still got a long way to go. That's what we're in the process of doing.
Can you say something?
All right, so that was Steve Spagnuolo, the new defensive coordinator, who we had not seen speak until today. We had seen him and we had heard him. We just hadn't seen him speak.
I spoke to him briefly in Indianapolis. I saw him at the Combine, ran into him in the hallway, and just said a quick, "Hey, how are you? Let's put a name with the face." Because actually, I don't remember if we had podcasted in a Facebook Live since then, but I talked to Steve Spagnuolo on the conference call while I was mid-air in flight about to land in Kansas City, I think coming back from the Super Bowl. My flight had been delayed. I'd had all these problems. I was coming back from being at home with my family, and I had strep. Like, it was just a nightmare. And we were in our descent when the conference call was starting, so I hopped on and did not get kicked off, and I'm not on the do not fly list. But it was good. Phew, thank goodness. Don't listen to that, TSA folks. Please let me continue to keep my pre-check status. But yeah, it was good to talk to him, and I think it was nice to see him in his element. You know, we've heard from so many of, his people he's coached with before, players, that he's just super energetic. And we've heard that standing on the sideline at practice. And then to see him talk to us in that setting, I mean, he was very animated. He was funny. He was very engaging, lots of eye contact, all the things that, as media folks, that you like seeing or like hearing, because he'll be a fun interview to talk to him once a week.
Well, the first or second question he got was about Chris Jones, and he swatted that one away.
Yeah, no, he was not fooled by that.
Nope. And then he talked about, I looked at you when he said this, and you had a big smile on your face when he talked about pajama practices. And
I have no poker face, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, in reference to, coming out in whatever previous practices that even, I think maybe without helmets, but pajama practices, he called them. And I got to tell you, as somebody whose father is from Rhode Island and whose mother was born in Massachusetts, it just speaks to me when I hear Steve Spagnuolo say things like, "We don't want to get too far forward on on this," or "We'll see where we are when we get down to the 53."
Wow, you do that really, really well.
I grew up in that household. My folks were like that. But I'll say this. My parents only lived in New England until they were about 20, 21, and they moved out.
But that accent stuck right with them.
It stuck with them for a long time, but they don't have that anymore. Mm-hmm. He has managed to maintain. He's been all over the NFL, and he has maintained his New England, Massachusetts accent, and it's going to be fun to hear. He's not. I don't think he's given that up. He is going to continue to. He is going to continue to park the car.
I was just going to say park the car, but you did it much better than I did. So we'll let yours be the accent of record.
All right,
here.
So we heard him talk about, and I thought this was an interesting answer that we just heard about building the team on fundamentals. And it was Adam Teicher, our friend from ESPN, who kind of pressed him on it a little bit, and he admitted to not being as far along as he would hope. But I think that's understandable.
Yeah.
With the new coaches and the new.
I mean, they've really had 6 OTA practices to this point. He got to work with some of the rookies at rookie minicamp, but it's not surprising that they're not that far along, given the fact that they're A, putting in a whole new system, B, putting in a whole new system with half the starters, it feels like, are new guys. So granted, everybody's learning this at the same time, but these guys are still getting adjusted to Kansas City and their teammates and everything else. That there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that are shifting under his watch. So yeah, it's all about kind of getting your feet back wet. And he also didn't coach last year, so he's getting used to this rhythm again. And I'm sure it's just like riding a bike. I've never coached a football team before, shockingly. But yeah,
wait, what?
Not even like a flag football team, but it's I don't think it's surprising. I don't think it's cause for concern. I also think that he would be crazy to walk up there and say, yep, we're ahead of schedule. Like, we've really got the ball rolling. It's number 1 defense after being number 31 last year.
We need to scale it back.
Exactly.
We are so far along.
We're learning too fast.
Right.
It makes sense that he's trying to temper expectations. But, I mean, just what we've seen out of it, they're doing some interesting things. We've seen a lot of TK, Tano Passanio. We've seen Breland speaks. Sam McDowell is writing a story on this for later this week. But Sam McDowell noticed that he was playing on the interior of the line as a D end. I mean, he's moving all over the place. You've got TK on the D line. I think he was at D end.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he's got him doing some things that we weren't seeing last year with Bob Sutton.
And about Speaks, Spags said that he made it a point to say he watched his college tape.
Yep, that was far more important than his tape as an outside linebacker.
And noticed that he was more comfortable playing on the inside, but called him a versatile guy, could go either inside or outside, tackler end.
Which we saw them do with him today.
And with the multiple positions, that makes him valuable, is what Spags said. As for TK, he was asked about Tano Passanio and had to be reminded who that was because he doesn't know him by Tano Passanio.
Which is very fair. That's Pete Sweeney asked him about Tano Passanio, and he kind of looked at him. He's like, oh, you mean TK? I can't say it as well as you can. Which, I mean, when you just look at it on a paper, I had that same reaction last year when I looked at that, like, there is no way. Once you practice it a couple times, it just rolls right off the tongue.
And it's not like he doesn't know him. He's known him since kid was in high school because, as we found out, Spags still maintains a house, I think, in Philadelphia, knows the Villanova coaches, so has spoken to Villanova coaches about Passanio. Listen, it's a player who was a second-round pick a few years ago. I'm not sure he is going to end up on the 53. We'll just have to see how things shake out. Speaks is also a player who is going to have, I think, a good training camp to feel really confident about being on the 53. I know he's a current regime draftee. Passanio is not, and that always makes a difference when you're looking at either or at cut-down time. And so keep that in mind.
I get the sense that it's going to be one of them. I don't think they're both going to end up on the roster.
So he did say, and this has been a point of some speculation as well, referring to Reggie Ragland, he's the middle guy. He's in the Mike linebacker spot.
Yep.
Not on one side or the other, and Hitchens not in the middle, but it's Reggie Ragland. And again, he goes, look, Spags has been in the game for so long, and of course, he was out last year, but in studying football for as long as he has. Says he's very familiar with the Alabama players and has been following Reggie Ragland for a while. Thinks that Ragland will be more comfortable in this defense. I don't know when it's all said and done if Reggie Ragland is going to be the guy.
I would say I don't buy it. One of the reasons that he was traded from Buffalo was because he wasn't a good fit in the 4-3. So why, if he can't fit there, what would make him a good fit here? I mean, maybe there's some nuances to Spags' system that make him better at fitting there. But I think by adding Lee, the Chiefs have the flexibility then to move Hitchens to middle and put Lee at weak. I think that's a real possibility. I think you could also put Hitchens at middle and then put Dorian O'Daniel weak side. So I think that in keeping with Andy Reid's traditional, the veterans have the job until they don't kind of thing, he's letting Reggie Ragland get the first crack at it. But I don't think that we should take what we're seeing at OTAs as like, all right, this is what it's going to look like week 1 in Jacksonville. I think that they'll give Reggie as much of a chance, maybe more of a chance than some other guys, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them kind of switch things up and put Hitchens in the middle, maybe even put Lee in the middle.
Right.
I think they've got some pieces to play with.
One thing we should say is when we ask coaches about specific players, they're always going to be complimentary.
Right, they're not going to trash a guy.
Absolutely not. And so we have to kind of use our own judgment about who we think is going to be around.
Right.
And who
we make some educated guesses.
We do, and we have, and that will always be the case. I say that because there is one player, going back to the other side of the ball, who we don't necessarily bring up, but the coaches do, and actually the guy I'm thinking of, Brett Veach and Andy Reid both did, and that's Byron Pringle, the wide receiver. So going back to that position real quick, I think that's
Dave Tobe mentioned him too. Well, I think I asked specifically about Byron Pringle, but he was super complimentary of him.
Yeah, so that's just one guy that sort of is a little maybe an exception to the rule that the Chiefs seem to want to put out there, put the word out that he's a guy that they really like. This is the former Kansas State wide receiver, and
he took first team reps on kick return, did he not? I believe that's what we saw.
That's right. And so this was a guy who I think I don't know if he was destined to make the team last year, but he was hurt in the...
I mean, he would have been a practice squad guy for sure, at
the very
minimum.
least. And ended up with a hamstring injury that cost him the season.
And a sports hernia, I believe.
Yes, it was a complicated issue for him. But he was heading toward a success story as an undrafted free agent last year. So I just wanted to make that clear that... we're talking about the players that we asked about. The coaches were complimentary of them, and then we just try to read between the lines on how they really feel.
We read between the lines on what's happening between the lines.
Oh, I like that. So well said.
It's like I'm a writer or something. I don't know.
Yes. You should look into that.
So cheesy.
You should definitely look into that.
I'll consider it.
Brooke, we cannot end this podcast without getting the Hootie update.
Oh, let me check. You know what? We may get to hear from him because I'm going to check my video app right now because, I'm one of those dog parents that has video of their dogs. Oh, he's sleeping. Sometimes he barks in his crate, and I was going to turn the speaker on so that everyone could hear what I've been going through. Oh, wait. I think he's barking. That's a sign that this podcast needs to be over soon because there's a little almost 11-week-old dog that would love to get out of his crate.
So when last we talked, that was the acquisition date.
That was Friday morning. We got him Friday night.
He signed with Brooke and Teddy.
And he did. He was on like a 2-day contract because we almost had to waive him very early because after the first night, boy, it was rough. He lasted in the crate for 30 minutes, or rather, we lasted with him in the crate for 30 minutes. Even with the crate in our room, he still barked his little head off, and so Teddy ended up letting him out, and Teddy slept on the couch and just let Hootie have free reign over the living room. Nothing was destroyed. But then after that, you know what? He's been pretty good in the crate, knock on wood. I'm sure he won't be now. But yeah, I mean, last night he slept through the whole night. And all the other nights since we got him about a week ago, I've had to get up between 3 and 5 and take him down to the little doggy bathroom area outside in the middle of the night because I'm a really good wife. Because I don't sleep with the earplugs in and he does. So he says he can't hear him when he starts kind of scratching around.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I would have said the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's convenient. But he's been a good little dog. He's been hilarious. So he and my other dog, Bo, have been playing together.
That's
so
cool.
Been exciting.
So they get along.
They get along great. By the way, his name is Hootie because we decided to do that for Hootie and the Bowfish. Very excited about the name. I may or may not have already created an Instagram account. Haven't posted to it yet, if it exists, but I was sitting in a Sonic waiting for an interview to call, and you know what? That handle hadn't been taken, so I went ahead and scooped it up, just in case. We're looking for advertisers, because we want to have puppy influencers to pay for our dog toys and dog food. So, if you're listening, you can get me a hookup with Pupbox or BarkBox or Chewy.com. Let me know.
All right. Well, we will get the Hootie update a week from today, following Thursday. That'll be the Chiefs.
Hopefully, he's still with us.
Yes, hopefully he is. That'll be the Chiefs' last practice in this phase of OTAs, and as Brooke said, mandatory mini camp.
The rookies will also be there.
Is in mid-June. So, Brooke, thanks for stopping by, and we will talk to you again soon. Links to the stories we discussed can be found in the show notes, and follow all of our Chiefs coverage on kansascity.com, facebook.com/redzone, and the Red Zone Extra app. Big thanks to Kathy Liu and Leah Becerra for producing, and we'll be back soon to talk Kansas City sports on another edition of Sports Beat KC.
Are we
which
on?
means we can start talking here.
Let's
so.
pod. Don't they want some cool and quirky stuff to run before we start the music?
They have already included some quirky stuff. Usually at the end, after the closing music, they'll have me saying something
Does this count?
ridiculously stupid. It might. It might.
Yes.